The future of NFTs. Disruption is coming.
Before I begin, I just want to say what a thrill it is to be giving a keynote at the first ever AIBC in North America that just happens to be in my hometown of Toronto. I've been attending and speaking at AIBC since 2018 in Malta, in the Philippines, in Dubai, but I've never had the opportunity to have my family, my wife and kids in the audience to hear me speak. So today is extra special. For years, they've watched me fly around the world attending these shows. It's really nice that for once, the shows come to me. Do you trust me? Well, presumably you do, to some extent, or you wouldn't be dedicating precious moments of your life to hear me speak. So through some personal, internal calculation, you've decided to put some trust in me. However, as is often the case in life, your trust might be misplaced. Only time will tell. I mean, who knows? I might not even have any kids. I'm just kidding, I do that right over here. But that's kind of the point, right? Our relationship as audience and speaker is built on trust. And every relationship you have in life, personal and professional, every transaction is built on trust. Even when we talk about things like family and circle of friends, we're really defining levels of trust. I mean, you trust your family and close friends more than you do strangers, and presumably they trust you back. But initially, everyone has to earn your trust. Trust but verify, right? Our entire social framework is built on the concept of trust. But now, imagine a trustless world. Imagine a world without lying. What would that look like?
I can't lie!
Okay, maybe it wouldn't be such a good thing if nobody could lie about anything ever. But in certain circumstances, like when it comes to your money, might not be such a bad thing. Now, in the world of blockchain, we talk about trustlessness. And this is a very difficult concept for most people to wrap their heads around because we don't really have a frame of reference for it in the real world. Most people think of trustlessness as 100% trust, right? Ironclad, steel-plated, heavy-duty trust. But that's not trustlessness, and I'll illustrate the difference. How many people have at one time thought, I am 100% certain that my spouse will never cheat on me? And oftentimes, what happens? Oh boy, that's not good. How many of those people eventually had their hearts broken? Because they had to rely on trust, so it was never 100%. It was, at best, 99.99999%. But because their partner always had the capacity to lie, ultimately, it came down to trust. But when we talk about trustlessness, we're talking about a system where the possibility of lying doesn't even exist. And when lying becomes impossible, trust becomes unnecessary. I mean, think about it. You can send Bitcoin over the internet to a complete stranger halfway around the world, and you can do it direct, peer-to-peer, with no third party to validate. No bank, no Western Union, no PayPal, the digital equivalent of putting cash in an envelope and just sending it to someone. And yet, you can have complete confidence in the validity of that transaction. You cannot claim to have sent it if you didn't, and the other party cannot claim to not have received it if they did, because both of you can go onto the blockchain and view the confirmed transaction for yourselves. You know, I've been in this space for about 8 years, and this most basic fact of blockchain still blows my mind. This ability to transact directly with anyone, anywhere in the world, without having to get somebody's permission, without regard to borders, without thought about currencies, it really is amazing. And by the day, the world is showing us just how critically important access to this type of financial technology is. By the hour, it sometimes seems. So a trustless system is one that has transcended trust. We don't need it anymore. We can throw it aside because you only need trust if there's a chance of lying. But when lying becomes impossible, trust becomes unnecessary. And this is the magic of blockchain, this combination of immutability and transparency. Take a system where data can never be altered or deleted and make it visible to anyone at any time. Brilliant. Lying becomes impossible. Trust and all of the intermediaries whose primary function it is to maintain that trust become unnecessary. And this is what gives NFTs their immense power and potential. And make no mistake, we're talking about a lot more than just JPEGs of apes. Although, do not discount those apes. They are teaching an absolute master class in community building that we should all be learning from. But the reality is, we are on the verge of an explosion in NFT mass adoption that will affect every major industry. So, what makes NFTs so special? Well, this trustless architecture creates guaranteed authenticity. Even Christie's and Sotheby's, with all of their acclaimed experts, often inadvertently sell forgeries. But this is impossible with an NFT. You cannot issue a fake NFT and pass it off as the real thing, the same way you cannot issue a fake Bitcoin and pass it off as the real thing. You also have guaranteed scarcity. So if you buy an NFT that is a one of one, you know with absolute certainty that there is not and can never be another NFT just like it. And yes, while it is technically possible to right-click and remint that image, the blockchain makes verification of authenticity possible in seconds. Thirdly, you have guaranteed ownership. So because every wallet and every transaction is visible on the blockchain, this makes discerning the rightful owner of every NFT very easy. It also makes selling stolen NFTs, especially high-profile ones like Bored Apes, very difficult. In fact, every piece of physical art on Earth should be sold with a corresponding NFT, if only to register provenance on the blockchain. And that's really part of the core message here. Digital art, digital land, the digital world in general is not about replacing the physical world. It's about enhancing it. Now let's look at another excellent real-world use case, real estate. Every piece of land on Earth is non-fungible. Every plot of land is unique, at least in terms of GPS coordinates. And even plots of land, all in a row, all the same size in a subdivision, are all still unique. Some might back onto a ravine, some might back onto a swamp, and some might have gold or diamonds underneath, so they can have dramatically different value. Real estate is a natural use case for NFTs and is something that my company is actively working on. We are moving the mortgage transaction onto the blockchain, using NFTs for documentation, moving all of the legal into the smart contract, and utilizing decentralized finance protocols for mortgage and insurance. I apologize if there's any real estate lawyers or mortgage brokers in the room, but this is where the industry is going. Now, in North America and elsewhere, this means a more efficient, a more secure, and more privacy-focused process. But in many places, the difference is much more profound. In many parts of the world, a government office can get flooded, all the paperwork gets destroyed, and then good luck proving you own the land you live on. So in many parts of the world, registering all land ownership onto the blockchain, in other words, making land ownership trustless, can have profound implications, empowering entire communities and increasing societal trust. And this is what really excites me, disrupting traditional industries. I love art, collectibles, and metaverse, and these three pillars are what have brought NFTs to where they are today. And it's really remarkable to think about how far we've come in just a year and a half. I mean, at the start of last year, hardly anyone, even within the crypto community, knew or cared about what NFTs were. You know, when I first got into crypto, I used to say that one day in crypto is like 2 weeks in the real world, and that still applies. But one day in NFTs is like 2 weeks in crypto. Things move fast. It's like that movie Interstellar where they got stuck on that one planet for an extra hour and 17 years went by on Earth. Things move very fast. So I'm very grateful for what NFTs have been to this point, but I'm infinitely more excited about where they're going next, when they will be disrupting not only real estate, but manufacturing, supply chain, food production, distribution, and so many other industries. Now let's look at another excellent use case, the massive worldwide forgery industry, estimated to be worth $4.5 trillion a year, according to the Harvard Business Review. Now, when most people think about forgeries, they think about Louis Vuitton bags and Nike sneakers. And this does make up about 60% of the industry. LVMH alone employs over 60 lawyers and spends over $17 million a year on anti-counterfeiting legal action. But right behind luxury goods is supplements and pharmaceuticals. And this is where the consequences go from a company losing out on legitimate revenue to people dying. I mean, shockingly, the World Health Organization estimates over 1 million people, including over 250,000 children a year, die from fake medicine. Well, one initiative trying to do something about this involves applying AI and blockchain in an innovative way. Using NFTs in the form of specialized QR codes, people can bring up immutable data on every aspect of a medicine's life cycle. Now, what about the pill itself? Well, they're working on a system that will allow you to shine your phone's flashlight onto a pill, and using a combination of reflective spectroscopy and refractive index, an app-based AI will analyze how the light bounces off the pill to determine if it's real or fake. It's incredible. And you can imagine the implications of something like this around the world. Again, 1 million people a year dead from fake medicine. And then there is the use case that is probably the closest to ushering in true mass adoption: ticketing. NFT-based memberships encompassing access to virtual and physical events and having a whole host of other benefits and deeper levels of fan integration will soon replace current ticketing systems. Of course, this includes all coupons and customer loyalty programs as well. Very soon, sooner than most people realize, everyone will be owning and using NFTs, because very soon, every movie theater, sporting event, concert, conference, even airline tickets and other forms of travel will all be in the form of NFTs. So resistance, I'm sorry to say, is futile. Now that may seem aggressive until you look at this article. This is from 2000. So within 20 years of an editor allowing this headline to go to print, everyone was using Google and email and had a smartphone. So paradigm shifts can happen very quickly. Now, through all of this immense change, the road will not be smooth. We are still reeling from the demise of Luna and UST a few weeks back, and that's come on the heels of a $1 trillion drop in market cap over the last couple months. And there is no doubt that in the short term, some of the volatility, or in this case, the market figuring out what works and what doesn't, it hurts. It's painful, there's no doubt about it. However, we have to be able to separate short-term fluctuations in value from long-term technical innovation and mass adoption. Look, I know it's exciting when Bitcoin is $1,000, and then a year later it's 20,000, and a year after that it's 4,000, and 2 years after that it's 30,000, on its way to almost 70,000, and now it's back under 30,000. Whew! And that's just the last 5 years. That's exciting, no question. However, that should not be your focus. Your focus should be on technical innovation and mass adoption. And when you start to look at some of those charts, you start to see a different picture. So if you look at the total number of active developers, chart looks a little different. When you look at the total number of wallets, if you look at total mining power, and if you notice that steep drop-off last year, that was when China outlawed all mining, and you can see how quickly the rest of the world picked up the slack and took things to new highs. And if you look at the total number of decentralized applications. So it's very important to look at charts other than price if you want to see a really clear picture of the true scope of a situation. By some measure, it can be said that the success of a technology is determined by its invisibility. Take electricity, for example. Most of us have no idea how it works. I certainly don't. I don't understand how it's generated. I don't understand how it's distributed, how it gets into my house. I don't know any of that. But I know how to flick on a light switch if I want to see at night. I know that much. The internet is not quite invisible just yet. We still have to pull something out of our pockets. We still have to use our fingers. But even that will be a relic of the past very soon. NFTs and cryptocurrencies in general will reach this point sooner than most people realize. And like with the internet, they will see exponential growth over the coming years. So I leave you with this thought: the earlier, the better. That was certainly true of the internet. Eventually, everyone got on board, but the sooner you got there, the better off you were. And the same thing applies today. Very soon, NFTs will be as much a part of our daily lives as the internet is today. But the sooner you get there, the better off you'll be. So if you haven't done so already, I encourage you to take the plunge. And please feel free to reach out to me on Telegram. I am at NFT King. I would be happy to help. Come on into this amazing world of NFTs. It's really wonderful here. Thank you.